It's my birthday on the 5th of November. Yes, my channel is having its second year celebration on the YouTube platform. So I would like to say thank you to all my listeners, subscribers. It means the world to me that people are really focused and tuned into the wisdom of astrology and planets in transits. Welcome, Virgo rising signs of the zodiac, to your astrology horoscope for the month of November. It's a busy one, so I'm going to get straight into it. Okay, let's talk about your chart ruler, Mercury. If you're a Virgo rising signs, Mercury is your avatar in this incarnation. Mercury is opening up the month of November, continuing its transit in Sagittarius. So your chart ruler Mercury is now in the subterranean part of your chart, which is your natal fourth house. So this is home and family life. It's what we do out of the public view. It's our domestic sphere. It's where we chill. It's where we relax. And when Mercury is in detriment, which Mercury is known to be in detriment through the dignity scheme of astrology, it simply means that you as a Virgo rising signs may be overdoing it, overcompensating, really doing way too much in the home or within the family, like overextending, going the distance, if you will, so much so that you may feel a little bit of burnout when Mercury is in detriment in Sagittarius. So this is a really good time to set firm boundaries, maybe take a beat, do more self-care, nutritional food, good sleep patterns, learning to say no. You're not always available. You can't always do everything for everyone all of the bloody time. It's that kind of transit when Mercury's in detriment in Sagittarius. So knowing that ahead of time gives you an opportunity to slowly retreat, not be so available. Let people in your family and home life cope on their own, and that gives them an opportunity to be more individual, take more ownership for themselves. You're not here to be a slave to the family and your home. You're there to enjoy the family and the home. So overreaching and overextending and over embellishing to get everyone happy and everything right and perfect all the time may really start grating on you, and you might be really feeling it in the body with Mercury in detriment in Sagittarius in your natal fourth house. So Mercury this month goes into its third and final retrograde of 2025. That's good news for you as a Virgo rising sign, because Mercury, when he's in a retrograde, goes, yeah, I really should maybe rethink about what I allow to happen. And that gives you plenty of opportunity to think about how to maybe make escape routes or plan a conversation that you know you need to have, or communicate about how you really feel, and that lightens the load when you do so. So really nice when Mercury goes into a retrograde, and then we'll station direct right at the end of the month on the 29th. And knowing that ahead of time, that means Mercury is going to be spending time in your natal fourth house where you're going, oh, I'm overextending, I'm getting rid of burnout. And then he's going back into your natal third house, which is Scorpio. And that's where the action really starts heating up when your chart ruler Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio. But we'll get into that further down the line in this video. So that's sort of setting the foundation of knowing what's going on, opening up the month of November for you. Mercury, let's not just have that save everyone, save the world feeling when Mercury's in detriment in Sagittarius. Letting people, work it out is okay. You don't always have to be in the thick of it and amongst it, because it might start really wearing and tearing on your body, and you might really start to know, oh, I need to take a beat, take some rest, take a step back. Okay. Mars on the 4th joins in to the natal 4th house of Sagittarius. However, Mars really likes being in Sagittarius, and that's benefiting the natal 4th house for really getting a new strategy in place with your home, family life, and your domestic sphere. So we like Mars in the natal 4th house. I think that's going to be quite beneficial because Mars gets a job done. Mars is almost soldier like. Mars really knows how to maneuver what's working and what's not and doesn't really muck around. So the energy is here with Mars in the natal 4th house to execute plans, get things going, and eliminate over distraction and too much activity in your home and family life. So I really like that for you as a Virgo rising sign. Okay, so Mars will be in Sagittarius until December 15. So from that, for that block of time, it's getting the ship right behind closed doors. Like, Dad's coming home. Let's get everything clean, but let's eliminate too much exacerbation, too much overcompensation. It's like streamlining when Mars is in the natal 4th house. Really good astrology for you as a Virgo rising sign. Now, it is an active month. We are we are going to have a November to remember. Okay, let's get to it. So I sort of just wanted to set the stage in understanding what your chart ruler Mercury is doing. And now we're going to be talking about all the planets and transits and the aspects and the lunations. Whew, there's a lot. Okay, let's go. On the 5th of the month, we have Mars in Sagittarius sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. So this is your natal 4th and 6th house uniting easily. So we talked about the natal 4th house. We know what's going on there, but the natal 6th house is the house of selfless service. It's the house of work and labor where we just laboriously do. Whether that's jump in the car every morning and go to the same job every bloody day, the same bills are going to be coming in. So we just keep on keeping on. And when we're talking about the natal 6th house, about labor and service, things that we do selflessly. We do it because it's just habitual. The 6th house is about our routines, our schedule, how we time our life. What are we doing on the daily? So when Mars sextiles Pluto, there's an opportunity to change the guard. And when you have an opportunity on the 5th to step back and have a look at what you do on the daily and how it is impacting home and life and the actions that you take behind closed doors, that's the time to take a beat, process it on the 5th. And with a full moon on the same day, the first moon of the month, it's an exalted full moon in Taurus. And the exaltation dignity indicates that the moon is in an environment that is conducive to its nature, which a moon in Taurus is the time of the solar year that is about things are growing and expanding, things are blooming. It's springtime. It's a very youthful zodiac sign, but it is a fixed earth zodiac sign. So it really does hold a line quite firmly, Taurus. And you have a full moon here on the same day, on the 5th, with Mars sextile Pluto at 13 degrees. And it's in your solar natal ninth house of what you believe. What do you have faith in? What are your values? What's your moral and ethical compass? And that full moon, where it's very youthful, it's exalted, it's like, yes, this is ripe. You really can tune into having conviction about what's good for you and what's not, and really tune into the more spiritual connection that you have with this thing we call life. What do you have faith in? What do you believe in? Well, on the 5th, it's all coming home to roost kind of moment. With Mars sextile Pluto, it's time for a transformation. Yeah, I have been fixated and really putting all my heart and soul in what I have conviction in. And now you see the results of it, which is what a full moon phase delivers, a maturation point. We see not the fetus, but we see the pregnant belly. We actually go, wow, this is happening. This is big. So it's not a particularly subtle full moon in the natal ninth house of what you believe in. What do you have faith in? What is it that you constantly seek that keeps you very stable, safe, and secure when it comes to your spiritual path? On the 5th, it all can be very loud, but an exalted full moon gives you an opportunity to consider, is there a next stage that you can elevate to, like up the ante, when it comes to moving out of that youthful stage into more maturity and adulting? When it comes to changing up your belief systems, maybe you need to consider a different point of view or perspective that could come through higher knowledge, coming from putting your head in a book, getting into esotericism, such as astrology, or have a tarot reading or a rune reading, or meditating, or going to a religious place to refuel your soul, to get you out of a stoic way of, I always have to believe this. This is how it's always been. And when it becomes obvious, which is what a full moon phase is, it's really obvious with the moon exalted that, oh, I need to upgrade something here. I need to open up and loosen the strings a little bit and maybe consider things that are foreign to me and take the time to hear different points of view and perspectives. So quite a poignant, powerful day on the 5th with Mars sextile Pluto, a churning and tilling of the soil, and a full moon exalted in Taurus at 13 degrees in your natal ninth house. So I encourage you to look at your own natal chart, whether you're working with a progression or a solar return and a time lord. Look for any planets or points at 13 degrees of Taurus. It'll give you an extra layer because that full moon is lighting up a particular point or planet on the 5th. But we want to not take away the beauty of an exalted full moon in Taurus, because even though it's exalted, Taurus can like bulldog and lockjaw in on something and be a little bit rigid. And that gives us a moment to go, oh, maybe I need to be okay with considering a different idea or concept regarding staying in the right lane or staying in one lane. I need to grow and expand. I need to move out in the world. I need variety. I need stimulation. I can't keep doing and going in the same direction all the time. So you might feel a little stifled as well, potentially. I'm not here to suggest that I know how you're going to feel. You're the expert in you. But if you are really tuning in to the full moon vibes on the 5th, if you're not too busy running around for everyone with your chart ruler Mercury in detriment Sagittarius, it can be helpful to just have some quiet time, light a candle, do some meditation, maybe maybe step into a different environment to just let it all wash through you in a very kind way. We're not here to tear ourselves to shreds, but if we come to an awareness and awakening, which is what a full moon phase is, then we can go, okay, it's getting very clear. The moon shows us through our feelings and our emotions that something's really quite soulful and beautiful and helpful, or something's a little bit too old hat. We need to shake something up, and that can be uncomfortable at times as well. Okay, so I would be, as an astrology enthusiast working with planets in transits, I think the 5th is going to be an important day, as is the following day on the 6th. On the 6th, Venus ingresses into Scorpio, where she's in detriment. And this is your natal third house until the 30th of the month. So Venus is at top speed in the solar system at the moment. So when Venus ingresses into her sign of detriment in the natal third house, this is really quite a nuanced transit, because the third house is how we communicate, how we commute, and it's our siblings. So with Venus in detriment, she gets very passive. She gets very aggressive and really does seek out pleasure at the cost of others. So think, I know I can't afford that car, but you do it because Venus just wants it. Think, I know I should let my siblings work it out themselves, but Venus can't help herself but uh, throw her 3 cents worth into a conversation or an opinion. Venus is behaving not like Venus because she's in detriment. So she's trying to uh, be a little bit more tougher than she is, and she starts basically acting more aggressively in pursuing what she wants. So this is like lusting for things or putting ourselves in situations or environments that we know aren't helping. Connected to the natal third house of siblings, travel, how we commute, and even the natal third house is about education, but it's about elementary and primary education. So I would look at this as, you think you know everything, but you don't. Or you could be having run ins with teachers, mentors, like you're challenging an opinion or a structure or how things are done regarding schooling, or even if you are involved with education or even doing a short course, it's like, I want that, I really want to do that, but why are the reasons that you want to educate yourself? Because education comes at a cost: time, energy, effort, and we could be biting off more than we can chew when Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, when we're talking about the natal third house connected to education. Just think education broadly, like problems with education, maybe struggling with education intellectual levels with people not understanding, or uh, maybe run-ins with schools, uh, educational institutions, that sort of thing could be up in the spotlight with Venus in the natal third house of Scorpio connected to education. So tricky transit, but it's really quick, and it's the natal third house. It's not an angular part of your natal chart like the first house, the 10th house, the fourth house, or the seventh house, which are very significant when we're talking about planets in our angular parts of our natal chart. But if you are experiencing siblings, communication, or education, or how you commute, and you might find yourself just being vehemently thirsty for more, 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 more. I want, 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 want. then that's your red flag and just go, oh, I need to step back and just have a think about this because Venus is in detriment. So fascinating transit from the 6th of November to the 30th of November. So, working with planets and transits, just observe how siblings behave. And we're not suggesting that your siblings are terrible or anything at all, but see if siblings all of a sudden want a little bit more, or overcompensating, like, I know more than they actually do. And when this is not to trap them, but it's just an observation of how planets actually work in transits and with communication. Just see if people are a little bit more extra. Venus in detriment, like she's overselling a product, that sort of thing. It's really fascinating. Okay. Here's an astrological headline worthy of taking note of. On the 7th, retrograde Uranus, which has been moving through Gemini, your natal 10th house of ambition, your professional industry, your public facing roles with your career and authority figures, is going into a retrograde. So he's retrograding back into Taurus, into your natal ninth house, where we had that full moon on the 5th. So Uranus is going back into Taurus, your natal ninth house, for one last go, if you will. And it's not your first rodeo. Uranus spent over 6 years in your natal ninth house of Taurus. And Uranus is going to really stir things up before he moves back into a direct motion on February 3rd, 2026 at 27 degrees. And then we'll be going back into your natal 10th house for a very long time on April 25th, 2026 to 2032. So, how have you experienced Uranus in your natal 10th house? Has there been changes regarding what we just talked about? Your ambition, your public facing role with your career, your professional industry that you may be working in if you're a working Virgo rising sign, or authority figures. Because Uranus isn't subtle. Uranus really does feel like, oof, I'm really aware of what's going on. He's the awakener. He's swift, he's really quick, changes things really quick, like flips things on the head and can really rattle us. And that's where we get the archetypal meaning connected to Uranus, which is disrupting. Because when routines are disrupted, we go, oh, hang on, that's familiar to me, that's normal to me. And Uranus goes, yeah, that's why we've got to shake it up. That's the wisdom of Uranus. Shakes things up to get us out of a funk, to take us in a new direction. So now Uranus going back into your natal ninth house of Taurus. What is being disrupted for one last go, if you will, that can be like going through a process, a really big process of, I once was blind, now I see, in the natal ninth house, is about your moral and ethical compass, what you believe in, religion, foreigners and foreign places, higher education. So we're not talking about elementary or primary education like the natal third house where Venus is currently transiting in Scorpio. We're talking about academics, higher education like universities, degrees, where we spend a lot of time focusing on a subject to develop a niche skill or understanding. So the natal ninth house gets a reputation connected to knowledge and understanding. where we're seeking information that is higher than us. And that's like really lofty when we commit to higher education, because it takes a lot of time and effort, as we know, to develop a niche, specialized skill regarding education, whatever it may be. And the natal ninth house is about travel, but it's more travel about longer distance traveling. Think pilgrimages, like you're going on a journey, a soul journey. You want to trek to Nepal, or you want to go to Mozambique and immerse yourself in culture and travel. Also, with the natal ninth house is longer distance traveling. Think international waters or international foreign affairs. That's the natal ninth house. So retrograde Mercury is going back there from the 7th of November, stations direct on February 3rd next year. Then we'll go back into your natal 10th house into Gemini April 25 next year. And so I like to think of Uranus going back into the natal ninth house through the lens of astrology and planets and transits as you have time to maybe recalibrate and reset your compass regarding the world and your religious philosophical views in a bigger capacity. How far do you want to go? And what's the awareness around it? What's awakening within you? It will be very personal to you. And when Uranus goes back into the natal 10th house, then what Uranus does in the 10th house is sparks up inspiration to extend your reach further. Playing it small regarding public facing roles or your career. You may have gotten hints while Uranus was in the natal 10th house that you need more stimulation and variety and movement. So you might feel a little cagey or feel like you want to break into new areas or connect with different people, places, and things and experiences and adventure out more. Whilst Uranus was in Gemini, you may have felt a shift. But now going back into the natal ninth house, if you've been feeling, oh, yeah, I really need to get out of here, or I feel like I need to go further, then with Uranus back in the natal ninth house, what academic feathers do you need? What experiences do you need? Maybe you need to connect with people that have niche skills, that have the know how regarding your lofty ambitions and goals. Fascinating retrograde period with Uranus going back in your natal ninth house. On the same day, on the 7th, Venus is squaring off with Pluto in Aquarius. So we know Venus is a little shaken up, not real confident, maybe overcompensating, is squaring off with Pluto in Aquarius in that natal sixth house that we talked about as well. So we know the natal sixth house is about services we can connect with, how we selflessly give of ourselves. It's very laborious. It's our schedule. It's our routine. It's the effort and the time to get through the day. And we know we just got to keep on keeping on. So Venus is squaring off with Pluto. So Mars was sexting, which would sound about right with Mars. Mars was sextiling Pluto, but Venus is squaring Pluto. And so this can be frustrating when Mars was sextiling Pluto, like, yes, I'm ready to change something. I'm ready to transform and till the soils and get something moving and connect. And Venus in the third is like, oh, I'm not really sold on that product. I don't want to do that. I don't really want to go there, because Venus, as we know, is very feisty and just feels like I know better. So this could be pushback on the 7th coming from a sibling or a problem with a sibling. Uh, it could be a discrepancy regarding communication, or with education, like snafus, a traffic jam. You thought this paperwork was going through, it's not. These are all variables. But Venus, when she's squaring Pluto, is simply not ready to conform, doesn't want to play the game, doesn't want to participate in running with the status quo and doing what everyone else is doing. So you may come across that on the 7th with Venus square Pluto. On the 9th, your chart ruler Mercury stations to go into a retrograde at 6 degrees. Happy days. Now you really do get the goods. Now you really do get to process what has been going on for the last couple of months moving forward now that Mercury's retrograde from the 9th. On the 11th, Jupiter begins its annual retrograde, and Jupiter is exalted in Cancer in the moon sign. We like Jupiter in Cancer in your natal 11th house. And he's retrograding at 25 degrees and won't go direct until next year on March 10, 2026 at 15 degrees. So Jupiter in the natal 11th house of Cancer. Well, Jupiter is really, really good at bringing in stimulation to your natal 11th house. It's your hopes and your dreams for your future. It's your allies. And think when we talk about allies, we think about people that can assist us and help us. It's like the person that's got the know-how, the tools to help you along your personal agenda. That's an ally, someone that can give you a little bit of a leg up. And the 11th house is also our friends, our people that we really like spending time with. The natal 11th house is also connected to benefactors. So when we consider benefactors, we're talking about serendipitous moments where people just come in out of nowhere and benefit us through care and comfort. We're talking about Cancer, which is feeling very warm and fuzzy, safe and secure. And with Jupiter here, you may have more access to people that can just make you feel a little more emotionally satiated. So we like that with Jupiter exalted in Cancer in the 11th. And the natal 11th house is also connected to our career, because the 11th house is where we develop connection through other, and with connections with people of like mind, we get to interconnect with people that can influence our ambitions, our public facing roles, our careers, or our professional industries. That's also the natal 11th house. And Jupiter likes to bring in things more organically, connections that can help you over a line. And now going into a retrograde from the 11th of November, before he goes direct next year, then Jupiter, much like your chart ruler Mercury, you get to process and go through a process of elimination. Who's got your back? Are you on the same page with people that you connect with? Where have people been a little bit extra that you need to withdraw from? Or who are the people that you've overlooked? Maybe you want to reconnect with them, and there's something in a connection maybe that started mid 2025 that you've left by the wayside. And now from the 11th of November, you're like, oh no, I really want to connect with them again. That you'll get an opportunity to basically go back over experiences that you've had with friends, benefactors, and allies that support your career or your social connections that you've been experiencing, and digest them and think about what's working for you and what's not, who's got the goods, who doesn't. That's not being selfish. It's more like having the right people on team Virgo rising signs. That's what Jupiter's doing here in your natal 11th house. On the 12th, retrograde Mercury conjuncts Mars at 6 degrees. Happy days when your chart ruler Mercury connects with Mars. These two planets are buddies. So this is really good for reducing exacerbation, overcompensation, doing too much. So this can be a great day for a family get together, a family meeting, uh, feeling very embodied on the 12th, feeling very in your skin when retrograde Mercury conjuncts Mars. So this is like a battery pack being inserted into your system that gets you inspired and fired up to get something done, do something that serves you, that helps you with retrograde Mercury conjunct Mars on the 12th. So seize the opportunity. Carpe diem. Happy days on the 17th. We have our first grand water trine of the month of November. The sun in Scorpio in your natal third house with Venus is trining retrograde Jupiter exalted in Cancer in your natal 11th house. Jupiter is trining retrograde Saturn in Pisces in your natal 7th house. Feeling really nice. So grand water trines, we've had a few actually even in October. Grand water trines are such a beautiful aspect because we think of water and we think of trines, we think easy flowing connection that feels on point. So we're psychically, intuitively, really on fire with a grand water trine. We just know things, we sense things, we intuit things more organically with a grand water trine. So this 17th of November is a beautiful day for relaxing into enjoyment from your third to your 11th to the 7th houses. This is all about just enjoying people that tick your boxes, that have the same meaning of minds. Fantastic for divination, esotericism, dropping into your soul spiritual self from on the 17th. So working with planets and transits and knowing the astro weather ahead of time. If you think, oh, when's a good day to take a break? Yeah, retrograde Mercury conjunct Mars and also the 17th with a grand water trine. That's a good day to you do you. The energy's there to just immerse yourself in connecting with serendipity and flow and harmony. It's really quite beautiful. And the same day on the 17th, your chart ruler retrograde Mercury is sextiling Pluto. So Mars sextile Pluto, Venus squared Pluto, and now your chart ruler Mercury is sextiling Pluto. So that's really nice. So this is like being really content with changing up work and service and what you do on a daily with your routine and your schedule. So I like to think of the 17th with your chart ruler retrograde Mercury sextiling Pluto as I'm all up for deep transformation and change. I'm in. I am ready to do things a little bit different, which means I'm not going to be just throwing myself all in with home and family all the time. I'm actually ready to maybe be okay with being individual amongst it all. It's really quite lovely. Really nice day on the 17th. On the 19th, your chart ruler now retrogrades back into Scorpio, joining the Sun and Venus, and Mercury won't station direct until the 29th. So you have your third and final retrograde of 2025 now as a Virgo rising sign with chart ruler Mercury. And we like your chart ruler Mercury in a retrograde. We really do, because we get to uh, reconsider plans that we know we may not have been completely sold on, readdressing old conversations or thoughts that we know we need to give more time and attention to detail to, and that sets us in good steady footing regarding our own personal agendas when Mercury's in a retrograde phase. And in your natal third house of commuting, education, but elementary and primary education, siblings, and communication, then you get to be okay with just feeling out. It is Scorpio about changes going on with siblings and commuting and traveling and knowledge and how you talk the talk and walk the walk. Mercury retrograde in the third house. It's really nice because you get to immerse yourself in a whole different fashion when Mercury conjunct Mars and Mercury sextile Pluto. It's like you've got a new, uh, just a new perspective or philosophy on life, especially after that full moon. So maybe going back into the natal third house, like having a little bit more of a intuition of knowing, yeah, I'm ready for some big changes, and that means changes with how siblings and you interact and communicate, travel and education, and moving around, and even your thinking now may be going through a transition, and you can get some structure now, and maybe revisit opportunities that you skimmed over, like conversations or communication can come back in hard and fast with retrograde Mercury back in Scorpio. So, really quite nice. So, moving forward from the 18th of November, Virgo rising signs, your chart ruler Mercury for the rest of the month will be in Scorpio in the natal third house. So, the natal third house, you're immersed in community, you're immersed in talking, walking, looking at the terrain. You're perusing the vistas on what's outside your front door and engaging with things more organically, but with just a different beat to your step, different mindset. I think a shift may have occurred or information may have come in to help you readjust and reshift as you see fit. Nice. On the 19th, retrograde Mercury opposes retrograde Uranus, and retrograde Mercury is also trining retrograde Neptune. Yeah, I like to think of this as going back over an old conversation or a communication or contact with a relationship or someone significant in your life that needs to be addressed on the 19th. So it can be very feisty, be a lot of feelings and emotions going on the 19th with chart ruler Mercury opposed to Uranus, and also trining retrograde Neptune, like going back over an old hurt, an old story, an old vision, an old idea between you and other, be it a marriage partner or about marriage or about relationships or any significant connections in your personal life as a Virgo rising sign, a friend, de facto relationship, business, or otherwise, a relationship of any nature could be coming back up for review or a return back to a pain point that can be a little bit to deal with on the 19th. On the 21st, we have our second lunation of the month, and it is a new moon in Scorpio. The moon is in fall in Scorpio. It's at 28 degrees, and your chart ruler, Mercury, which is retrograde, is Kazemi in the heart of the sun. Isn't that beautiful? In your natal third house that we've talked about extensively. So, a new beginning here. Then the sun continues forward and opposes retrograde Uranus and trines retrograde Neptune. And later in the day, the sun will ingress now into Sagittarius, into your natal fourth house until December 21st, when we get to the solstice time of the year. Yay. So It's a pretty active day on the 21st of November as well. So, looking from a big picture point of view, not to tear this to shreds, there's a new beginning here that has to happen whether we like it or not. The moon is in fall. It's an uncomfortable new beginning regarding an environment, people that we knock shoulders with, or how we actually feel all in our skin. It's knowing the necessary evil. It's that, oh, this has to happen. It's got to go in any direction. We're all not going to be completely content. Venus is in Scorpio, being very rah. Sun is in Scorpio, and retrograde Mercury, your chart ruler, is in the heart of the Sun. So it's a new direction with siblings, travel or education or communication that has to occur. So this can be immersing in a whole new dynamic that feels a little bittersweet on the 21st. And the Sun then opposing retrograde Uranus and trining retrograde Neptune is bringing back a sore point regarding a relationship, a marriage, a connection that is important to you, whether it's personal or otherwise, is coming back on the radar. This is like, this is going in a new direction. This has to happen. We have to talk about things we don't want to talk about. That kind of thing, when the Sun opposes retrograde Uranus and trines retrograde Neptune. Then the Sun going into Sagittarius is in your natal fourth house with Mars. Happy days. We've got a happy Mars and Sagittarius doing really well. And when the Sun gets in the natal fourth house of home and family life, the Sun illuminates and brings intelligence and the spirit back to the home and family domestic sphere for 4 weeks. So the spotlight's on the fourth house, which is what the Sun is. It doesn't ever go away other than when the moon is out, when it's night. But 12 hours of the day, the Sun is out. It's pretty consistent. And so with the Sun consistently on your natal fourth house for 4 weeks, whatever is going on, be it negative or positive, there is life happening behind closed doors out of the public view that is really focused for 4 weeks from the 21st moving on. Really fascinating astrology for you. But that new moon, especially, this is like a new beginning that's almost like kicking and screaming because the moon's in full. It's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want this. It doesn't feel right. It just feels uncomfortable. It's like, I do not want this, but I have to do it to shift and change. So think a sibling going through a transformation, a new environment, a new community, a new way of education, a new way of traveling. Just it has to happen. And not everyone's going to be happy, but we've got to do what we've got to do, and we've got to make hay while the sun's shining, and we've got to turn water into wine. We've got to turn lemons into lemonade with that new moon in Scorpio, because there needs to be a shift here. And it's going to be important to the family and home dynamic and your private life. Virgo rising signs, very dynamic. The next day on the 21st, 22nd, we have our second water trine, and we go, oh, well, things aren't so bad. Retrograde Mercury is setting off this grand water trine, so it's you. You are connecting very easily to retrograde Jupiter in Cancer in your natal 11th house, and Jupiter's connecting really quite lovely to retrograde Saturn in Pisces in the natal 7th house. So another grand water trine. We instinctively, intuitively, psychically know this is the way to go. And the connections are being reverberated back to us through interactions, through relationships and other people. Our friends, our hopes and dreams and goals are on the radar on the 22nd. And we feel, especially because your chart ruler retrograde Mercury is connecting to retrograde Jupiter and retrograde Saturn. This is upping the ante, leveling up, and really knowing that things are shifting and changing deep within your waters. You're all up in your feels, but it feels really quite good. This is like that relaxing, swim in the ocean after a really hard day's work that you just haven't done for 6 years, and then you do it and you're like, what the fuck have I been doing? It's that kind of day where it's just like zen and you're hitting all the right connections. Everyone's playing nice in the sandbox, and you're just aware of where you need to be and who to connect with. What environments really lift your spirits. Really beautiful on the 22nd with a grand water trine, and your chart ruler Mercury's all up in it. So that means things are changing and happening in a big, big way. On the 25th, Venus conjuncts your chart ruler retrograde Mercury in Scorpio in your natal third house at 22 degrees. This is all about sad stories. I don't like this. I don't want that. This is not right. Think like you're working in a complaints department. It's all going to be about complaints on the 25th, unfortunately, with Venus in detriment in Scorpio. Think tantrums, think just agitation. A very frustrating day on the 25th. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I sincerely hope everyone has a freaking wonderful day with Venus conjunct retrograde Mercury. But with Venus being in detriment, this is like buying more cake than you know you need to buy, and people around you just being difficult or extra on the 25th. I love the comedy of the planets in transits. Then the next day on the 26th, we have another grand water trine, and it's Venus in Scorpio, trining retrograde Jupiter in Cancer, and trining retrograde Saturn in Pisces in your natal seventh house. And on the same day, on the 26th, Saturn stations to go direct in Pisces. So what I'm laughing at is, Venus, the complaints department doors open and you're really getting it, or you overdid it. You should have eaten that cake. And then on the 26th, with the grand water trine from Venus to retrograde Jupiter, retrograde Saturn, it's like, well, we told you that wouldn't feel so great eating all that cake. Or the nuance or the complaints department gets a bit of a reality check and goes, that person's just too much. Then, you're never going to please them. And then people around you go, yeah, we're sick to death of that. It's that sort of comedy. It's like you're observing or witnessing or experiencing a day on the 26th where it's easy to see how people or yourself trip yourself up. There's a trip up going on here. It's a comedy of errors is how I look at the grand water trine with Venus in detriment. But look, I mean, I don't want to laugh too much about it, but with Venus connecting nicely with retrograde Jupiter, this is a benefic connection. These are the two benefics of our solar system and astrology system. So the fact that they're both benefic and they're connecting, it's like things are bigger and more obvious about overindulgence and overselling something. Just too much. But with that, you get an opportunity to go, okay, let's give someone or that event a bit of a break. Let's just think about, our actions moving forward. Let's be a little bit more gentler because it is Venus and Jupiter connecting together. Apologies in advance if I've been saying Mercury goes direct on the 29th. It's Venus that goes direct on the 29th, 30th. Mercury goes direct on the 27th officially. So that means your chart ruler now is stationing direct, meaning you've got all the intel that you need. You know exactly where you're going and what you're doing, connected to education, travel, how you communicate. You've got conviction. You know your moral and ethical compass, and you're ready to move in a different direction, maybe even with a sibling. And on the 27th, when Venus opposes retrograde Uranus, again, we know Venus is in detriment. She's like, she can't be pleased when she's in Scorpio. So with Venus opposing retrograde Uranus, this again is like Venus thinking she knows it all. She's got it all together. And she's pushing back against systems, doesn't want to travel, doesn't want to believe anyone just really shuts down on the 27th with Venus in Scorpio, your natal third house, opposing retrograde Uranus in Taurus in your natal ninth house. So I like to think of this as a siblings really rubbing up against change potentially, or a difficult conversation, differences of philosophical opinions. If it's about community or commuting or communication or education, then this is no, I don't want to go to school. No, I don't want to pay the price for that car. No, I'm really not going to be sold on a product. That kind of irritation with Venus opposing retrograde Uranus in Taurus. And Venus is the ruler of the zodiac sign of Taurus, like she is Libra as well. And what's really interesting about that is like Venus is rubbing up against her own, it's like she's basically going against things that are good for her. Like think before you leap kind of saying. Yeah, very interesting on the 27th. But your chart ruler Mercury now is direct. That's good. And moving into December. So you know that all the action basically for the month of November is all happening in the natal third house. On the 30th, Venus then trines a retrograde Neptune. Yeah, really interesting. Venus is exalted in Pisces in your natal seventh house, actually. And when she's reconnecting with Neptune, and we know Venus is got a bit of a gripe, bit of a sting, bit sassy, bit, you know, fitting a tongue in Scorpio. When she's trining retrograde Neptune, this is like again going back to a relationship or a conversation or a connection that just really is fantasy. It's going nowhere fast. We're idolizing a relationship or a connection on the 30th that we know just needs to be let go of. With Venus trine retrograde Neptune, fascinating astrology with that connection. And being in that natal house connected to siblings, travel, education, and communication. Yeah, just observe what's going on this day. If it's you, if you're being Venusian and you're wanting to, idolize a relationship that you know is disintegrating or going nowhere fast, and that's your red flag to think, is this good for me? Is this good for me? Interesting. And then later in the day on the 30th, Venus then ingresses into Sagittarius. Happy days. The dignity of Venus increases when she's out of her detriment sign of Scorpio and joins the Sun and Mars in your natal fourth house of home and family. What you do, we deal with in private till the December 24. So you have a little stellium, but only until the 15th of December, actually, because Mars will move into Capricorn on the 15th of December. That's interesting too. So if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, or even if you are a subscriber, hit the bell notification and you'll be notified when December horoscope for your rising sign is loaded up on my channel, because I think December's a really good month. Anyway, I digress. Venus in Sagittarius. What is Venus seeking? Venus seeks adventure. She's into exploration. She wants to enjoy life. Venus is fueled by knowledge, a seeker of knowledge and information. So when Venus is in the natal fourth house of home and family and things that you deal with in private, maybe you're going back to school, maybe doing education from home, or you are either a teacher or a mentor, or you are being mentored, or someone's coming in to help you learn something potentially about your home and your family, or maybe just learning from home. So think online courses is a potential with Venus and Sagittarius in the natal fourth house with the Sun and Mars, because it's all about action and the Sun's there. It's like, yay, let's do something exciting and inspirational in the family. Let's get some life back in this place. And no disrespect, Virgo rising signs listening out there. But Venus in Sagittarius is a seeker of knowledge, and Venus is seeking fun, just likes to have a laugh. So she wants to connect. So you might find that you could have a lot more family interaction or dealings with real estate and property with this transit with Venus in Sag, wanting to travel, wanting to plan travel, maybe wanting to move. This is all up, or the variables are plenty. So this is why it's significant to know your own natal chart, progressions, solar returns to give you more finite detail of the probability of some variables that us astrologers mention, because we're speaking to thousands and thousands of different people from all over the planet in different stages of their journey and their life, and everyone's birth chart's very unique. But Venus in Sagittarius, I think your home and domestic life is going through a positive upgrade, because this Venus is all about, she blesses whatever zodiac sign she's transiting through. That's your astrology for the month of November, Virgo rising signs. A lot to digest. So if it's all a bit too much, just come back and refer to it throughout the month of November. That's the beauty of technology. We can pause and stop and go back whenever we like, or we can delete it. You name it. The world's our oyster at this point. So thank you so much for joining me here. And yay, Cosmic Girl 101 YouTube channel turning 2 on the 5th of November. I'm so excited about that. Sincerely, thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you are a regular listener to this channel, really means the world to me. If you want to work one-on-one with your Cosmic Girl, I can be contacted at the email being cosmicgirl101@protonmail.com. Till next time, Virgo rising signs of the zodiac, you stay cosmic.